game, but watch it on television or listen to radio. 1967, some superintendent, Jack and I talked about this many times, some superintendent made a very stupid mistake. He hired both of us in the same year. And we thought that probably was a bad mistake that somebody had made. First of all, I'd like to introduce someone that has something to say other than Jack's family, who probably knows him and me and some of the others as well. I don't know where he's at right now because he's trying to say, there he is right there. That's what he's trying to do, right there on that scoreboard. Take a look at it. A couple things I'd like to say to Ron Twinkle. He was complaining about version about how we yell. And they kept rolling these teams on. We wouldn't have anything to yell about. We don't care what anybody else in the state thinks. We know who Mr. Basketball is. Getting a little serious. Is that possible? Somewhere in Galatians it says, when time is growing short, spend more time praying. And I think this team will give us more time praying. Another thing I don't think much about is whoever said that nice guys finish last. I guess coaches are my favorite people, and two of my favorites I think are here. I've watched these guys through the last few years take a lot of criticism for the way they operate. But you know, one thing is, they get the job done. However, whatever that operation is, I think it's pretty good. See, I got advantage over somebody who's, which are all my bosses, you know, because they're tax money paid me. So I do spend a little time talking to these guys. So, and anything good comes out, I think I did it. Character picks in a lot of situations, I guess. The one of them that I particularly like is really the distinctive qualities of a person. This team and coach show their love and compassion for other people all the time, and they should be very selfish. And I think they'd be able to very hand for that. You know, not too long ago, Jack and I were talking, I read something and I kind of passed on to him and said, not everybody can be a hero, otherwise there wouldn't be anybody sitting on the third clapping as they go by. And you know something? I don't know of many people that I'd rather sit on the third and clap as they go by, just like that here. I've often wondered how many times Jack will be told what a great coach he is in the next week, and how many times he's been told that since all this has happened. And I'd like to attack this maybe from a little different point of view. You know, he's already proven he's a great coach. We're the state champions. Last year, last night after the ball game, so last year, who used to be the commissioner, said that this was the best coach team he'd seen in the state championship. prediction. I want to predict one thing, and I know what's going to happen. Jack Edison won't change. He'll still be the same person he was a week ago. He'll still be the same person next week that he was in his class last week. And that's probably the great qualities that most of you don't know about him. You know about him as a coach. I know about him as a person. And I hope that our kids will never change. I hope our players will never change. I hope that this experience will even make them more humble than they ever were before. Because really, with success, that's what you should have. You know, I talked to Samuel last night, and I said to him, I said, Todd, everybody will remember Scott's style as a shot, and you know, that doesn't surprise me. I've learned to expect miracles from Scott's style. I said to Sammy, not too many people that aren't too well versed in this game will remember that pass that you made because it had to be right on the money. That's not the best part. You know what he said? I don't care, folks. That's why we're number one and we're the champions. Nobody cares. I said Jack will never change, and I know he won't. By the way, Jack, the left door of that red bomb of yours doesn't open. I'll tell you, Jack, I know you'll never be the same because you've been to the top of the mountain in your profession and you've seen the promised land. And I know what that is. And these kids will never be the same. It's something that won't change you, I hope. It's something you'll never forget. You know, we've had a saying around here that great things happen to people, but good things happen to good people. And this lady sitting to my or standing in my lap is one of the nicest people I know. She's been a great friend to me and my wife, and we've been friends a long time. And at this time, I'd like to introduce a fine coach, a great friend, but more importantly, I think he would like to be remembered as just one of the nicest guys and human beings that I've ever met in my life, Jack Edison. The time to ask this or not, but I've got a special request. As soon as this thing is over, could you people get out of here as quick as you can? My son would like to have his clothes, shoot a couple baskets down. Just pull me over here. Talk about getting your feet in the ground, Gregory. They keep you humble, I guess. There's been a lot of nice things said about these kids, and I think rightfully so, but I wish you people could be around them for 6 months to let them drive me crazy like they drive me crazy. Old man at 37, nowhere there, half crippled, heart attack, and they take a guy and throw him in the shower after the game. singing songs like Old Jack Edison Had a Farm. Just not a great deal of respect like sometimes you may think. I'm very glad that they were able to represent this entire area, because in the Indianapolis area, around the state, I think sometimes maybe this Marshall County or northern part of the area of the state is not well known. And I'm very glad that they were able to represent this area in a matter athletically, to bring pride to this area, but so much more importantly, in such a classy way, to let, because on the floor, I think, and off the floor, they represented this from I'm really biased, I thought they did, but from hearing what everybody else that we didn't even know said, and it's such a reflection on you people up here, and on their parents, on this whole community, and I'm just glad that they were able to do that. Now when they think of this area, you know, these kids in this area, they're thinking of classy people, and I think that's a good thing. I guess the only other thing that I would like to say is we're standing on the platform last night, and I thought in athletics that, we don't usually get too excited, try not to get too excited, too emotional, unless maybe I don't like referees call sometimes. But we try not to do that, but we were standing up there on that platform last night, and I looked up, and we're playing our school song, and I see the red up there, and everybody clapping, and that's something that will stay in my mind for a long, long time. I want them all to see that and enjoy that. And I thought that was something that we're trying to do a little bit of a highlight. But I think this here today tops it. This is something. And I guess Mr. Nixon said most everything that I would like to say in the sense of them showing their character and all. I think the thing that pleases me most, as I've said many, many times, is God gives us all a great deal of mental, physical, and emotional abilities. And nothing could please them more than to use them to our fullest. And I feel like he's done that with that. The last thing, with all of us, with all these accolades that they well deserve, if all of us are able to go back and live our life somewhat of a normal way after this, then they're really great young men. And I guess the only other thing is, I've been coaching the head coach for 9 years. I've been doing things pretty much the same for 9 years. And, I understand I'm going to get some compliments and that sort of thing. It's an amazing thing when you have a group of people like this. I've coached great young men, and I'm not going to say that these guys right here are any greater than the other kids we've had, but these are just super kids ever since I've been coaching. I couldn't be happy with the group I've had for the last 9, 10, 11, 12 years on all levels. But when things work together and we have a group like this that just kind of melts together and things work together and they get things done on the floor, they must have done a heck of a job to make me look good this year. Thank you. Okay, would you do us one favor for about 30 seconds and everybody have Scott Styles come up? Like Bill Hoover said, I'm just glad that Scott was able to go down to the stage and play a normal game, because a lot of people around the state hadn't seen him play that much before. They heard about him, but hadn't seen him play that much before. pleasure to met by his years of dog. But I was glad that he was able to go down there and look at him all, afterwards they asked me, boy, does he play this great all the time? And I said, it's a normal game for him. Both games, a normal game. I think he's been doing all year long. It just sounds ridiculous for me to make comments about how great he is because everybody knows how biased I am, but I love to hear those people down there say it, that he is the best in his team. Coming out. I'll keep it short here. I just want to say once before I win number one. Don't make him on, it makes it worse. Ron just had a super tournament all the way through, as all of you saw. I think the most interesting thing to note about Ron is probably his first love would be baseball, and I don't know, maybe he's such a great football player. And it's a great compliment that he's such a precious player. Second love is women, all right. First, it's such a great compliment to him that he's a complete athlete, and he works so hard at basketball, and that he's a precious player. You saw when the pressure was on the first half of the afternoon game, he picked us up in a semi-state, a great semi-state, and he's just a precious player. And we really picked us up at some key time. We were allowed us to stay. In fact, I knew that picked off the head, so that's why I did it. We were definitely by far around. Other than that, I'm going to lost for words. Well, I don't know what to say. Except for Scott Styles was a good basketball player, and he missed basketball. Still Wendell. He's a great player too, and I always think he'd be clever with him, but you're not supposed to trust it. Mr. Wilson, he's going to be coach of the year in the state. And Pete Rockaway made 13 best dressed. This is really great here. He was the only white player on the team, that's for sure. He was the only white player on the West Coast team. So that's a real honor. Pete Rockaway. Stand up, Pete. Stand up. That's it. I gotta thank you here for sending that stuff. I left my warm-up in the locker room. Great. The Chester Award is one of the most honored and cherished awards there is in high school basketball because it's in Indiana, and that's one of the great basketball states, of course. If you ever get a chance to look down the list of only the Chester winners, they've all been just top-notch people, and you could never be honored anymore in this honored position, and this honored award could never be honored anymore than by an honored kid like Phil Wendell.
I just have to nominate on for the all-talking team. I think Larry will probably put on that team too. About a couple days after we won the Holly Trinidad in South Bend, I know my mailbox, and it was from Lisa Madison. And she sent one to all the players, thanking us for the part we played in winning the Trinidad Bowl. And at the end, she put a quote on there, and the quote was, remember, anything you perceive, you can achieve. And as we were heading down to South Indianapolis on Friday morning, I remembered that. And we went down there believing, and that's why we got a little hanging on our neck.
I said this before, but I think I've only said it to about one-fourth of you, because each time we get here, it seems to be a few more every year. Pete doesn't play a great deal. He's a senior and doesn't play a great deal, and it just takes a special kind of kid, not only to stay with it, but as you people notice, if you ever look over there, you notice how enthusiastic he is on the bench. And that is just a rare quality of people today. And a kid like Pete is just very, very special for our team.
One question. What did Ron take before he came out? Oh, no, that's what I thought it was really great how the fans were all cheering, and I love the contrast between Gary's fans, black and white, and red and gold. And I think maybe, I think that you helped win the game and you were cheering when we shot the free throws too. Because I could stand listening to Gary fans, and you guys were about 3 times louder than them.
No comment on that. I was going to say, that's not good sportsmanship, is it? Next 12. Tim's in the same category as Pete is as far as playing time on the floor. And again, I just have to rank him right up there with Pete. Now, sometimes we're very, very tough at the start of the year if we feel like a senior may not have a chance to play a great deal. And any coach will tell you you've got to be crazy to keep 2 seniors if you think they're not going to play. Well, we never claim not to be crazy, but by the same token, we just don't get 2 special kids like this very often.
If you ever seen my warm-up, I'm over 54. Okay, like I said, when I watched the fans live, when I this week was the best of all. Our fans should stand up and give themselves a hand. I know the play. That was almost as good as Rick Ghost the other day. He said something that right as he walks off the floor, let's all give a standing ovation. Just as he's walking off the floor. I thought that's the cheapest way I've ever heard of getting a standing ovation as they walk off. Tim almost got by. Okay, next, Barry Peterson. I guess you can talk all you want to about the ultimate life or sports, or I guess we're talking about athletics, of course, right now, but achieving the maximum of what your potential that God has given you. And Barry, when he was a freshman, was probably about 10th, 12th man on the freshman team, and moves up to be a starter, and there's only one way a person gets to that point, and that's with a lot of hard work, both mentally, physically, and emotionally. And Barry has put in that time, and I think that's just such a great credit for a young man to be able to perform to his fullest at all times. And Barry is the kind of player that when he comes on the floor, you know he's going to be the same night in, night out. It's going to be the same because he's only got one speed. He's always, always thinking, what's the words in my mouth, Barry? Get rushed over on you. People, people ask you, how do you coach kids that are this smart when you know you're done with an nail? You just yell loud and then they don't know. But it's just a pleasure to know that a person's going to be very, very consistent. And there's only one reason a person's consistent. They just do everything they have all the time. That's Barry. What I want to say is that everybody on the team, from Scott, coaches, managers, everybody does their own part. Whether it's Steve or not Steve, because this is important. And I guess that's all I want to say. Okay, our juniors, Larry Jones, in the locker room. We won't go into detail on that, but he's another one that's a three-sport athlete, just a great athlete in every sport, and just had a great tournament and a couple different games to pick us up. And if it wasn't for people like Larry, we wouldn't be so close to the Final Four. Larry Jones. Since we're not going to have school Monday, I hope you make that announcement. The entire student body superintendent. Mark Stukenborg. Good coach. Mark, just a great young man. Just a super kid. had a tremendous tournament. Picked us up at many different times during the season, but just had a tremendous tournament. He's the kind of kid that's very valuable to us in the sense that he can play out front, he can play inside. Super defensive player. I think we saw his great rebounding abilities in regional and the evening game, the semi-state, and really picked us up at a lot of different times. Mike Stiepenberg.
So you guys take part in this next weekend. You guys will talk about it.
So glad Bill Nixon put what he said, because that's the only thing I can say to the papers when we're talking about Scott Shot. And I'll tell you a little something about niggas in the papers all over about his shot. He's over in the huddle before that time, and kind of under his breath, he says, I'm going to hit it. So I don't think, our people were probably surprised, but I felt like the super play was definitely, as I said with most of the newspaper men, was definitely Sandy's pass. By Sandy. One more thing before Todd says something. If you know this during the game, I don't know if he played all of both games. Probably did. I don't know much of anything around this, to be honest. But I know somewhere during the last 8 minutes of the game, or the overtime or something, if you know, of course, he picked them up right at the 10-second line, and both guys he played against yesterday just as quick and fast and dribble the ball extremely well. He was just one-legged all over the place all day yesterday. Now I guess like I felt with Phil in the semi-state, the way he had to play, it's just humanly impossible. And people were talking down there before, about size. And they had us, we're such a small team, and they're talking about us being 6'2", and the other team being 6'10", and big kids and that sort of thing. But amazing thing that they have not yet been able to judge or measure. Maybe some back will make $1 million someday once they be able to measure it. And that is to measure his heart. And that's what's happening right now.
Anybody here from out of town? I don't know quite what to say, quite what happened there. All I know is when the game was over, we won, and everybody checked around, looking around. Coach said we all worked hard during the game, that's true. But you probably know we were all working hard in the World Cup here. And we just had a super time, and we were glad everybody was backing us, and I was glad everybody was there to back us, and just hope you don't next year. The only thing I can say about next year is I'm not really worried about right now. We're
Now, this kid been mad at me for a week because I forgot him, and he really was on the bus all the way home today. Don't you forget, let me get there and talk today. Don't you let me keep. So, this is just such a hand. He loves it up here. Jamie Johnson. guess maybe what Bill Hoover said, it's really, I just love kids with some of the players that we have, Jamie being one of them, quiet and reserved and shy. And then they get on that basketball floor or some kind of situation and they really go at it. Very competitive, very aggressive, and not a bit timid or shy at all. And I love those kind of people. And Jamie, as you saw all around, is one of those.
I really hope you get more time. I just like to thank everybody in the audience and our coaches, Gurney, both drivers, the cheerleaders, the coaches, the best fans in the state. I want to thank everybody for everything you've done.
Scott will sign up for Ron's School of Journalism next year. The managers come up here, please. If you want to say a few things, you can, okay? Gary Johnson, who this trip was invaluable to us in Indianapolis because that's his hometown. He was there until about I think he moved here in the 9th grade. And we were going to go over and visit some of his friends, but we were unable to since we were all in prison. Not all joke here. Okay, very good.
Okay, about 2 nights ago, we were recovering, we were playing with Vietnam soccer. He told us, this is true, he had a dream, and in the dream, Boston lost, and Plymouth won in 2 overtimes. And he said that, he told us this dream a couple late, before the game, so I was, Mr. ESP crying there. I was trying to make that story to you. And I'd like to thank the players for not sitting on me this game. It's a first, I would think Rochester and Arkansas is great to get them to come out, and applaud us and stuff. That's about it. I think we're just going to win. There's a lot to me we're going to win anyway, because Rick right now is shooting at our state champs 1982. And Bruce Carpenter came up to Mr. Pettibone before the final game, congratulating him on the state championship already before we started the game. Playing for me, automatically we were going to win. We never had any dog. Thanks for coming out. Now you people who have my autograph, there's $3 million now. Well, I'd also like to thank Rick and Courtney for always putting my name on the radio for all my fans to hear me. This is what they gave the team on the list of 20 million on that. That's about it. Thanks a lot. The players made up the songs for you guys to hear. 4 or 5 of them come out and sing it for you. I
since we are a little hick school from the north, farming town from the north, we can't play basketball, but we're good farmers. And this is our version of Old MacDonald Had a Farm. But it has changed the name to Old Jack Ellison Had a Team. So, we are just about ready. 1, 2, and Old Jack Ellison had a team. E-I-E-I-O, and on his team he had a doctor. E-I-E-I-O, with a horse for a deer and a horse for a horse everywhere a horse for Old Jack Ellison had a team. E-I-E-I-O, and on his team he had a rockway. E-I-E-I-O, with a mist on here and a mist Old Jack Ellison had a team. E-I-E-I-O, and on his team he had a window. E-I-E-I-O, trust the winner here and trust the winner there. E-I-E-I-O, Old Jack Ellison had a team. E-I-E-I-O, and on his team he had a vessel. E-I-E-I-O, with an angle like here and an angle like that. Old Jack Ellison had a team. E-I-E-I-O, and on his team he had a cattle. E-I-E-I-O, with shot here and shot there, here shot there, shot everywhere. Old Jack Ellison had a team. E-I-E-I-O, and on his team he had a bear. E-I-E-I-O, with a muscle here. E-I-E-I-O, Old Jack Ellison had a team. E-I-E-I-O, and on his team he had a fellow. E-I-E-I-O, with a false side here. Old Jack Ellison had a team. E-I-E-I-O, and on his team he had a Scott. E-I-E-I-O, with a nut ball here and a nut ball there. Here, nut ball there, nut ball everywhere. Time out, one more. Okay, Mr. Scott. Stand up, Mr. Scott. Does anybody like silver net? It looks like Mr. Tubba. That's where we got that part of the song. It's just, I didn't want you to be lost. Okay, we're back to the top. Don't worry, we only got 2 more verses. This last one is the best for it. It's coming up. Old Jack Ellison had a team. E-I-E-I-O, and on his team he had a nice wife. E-I-E-I-O, with a drum like here and a drum like there. Here, drum there, drum everywhere, drum like Old Jack Ellison had a team. E-I-E-I-O, Old Jack Ellison, and when the Warriors had a team. E-I-E-I-O, and on his team he had Coach Weston. E-I-E-I-O, with a big That'll be real cool for London, October. We had a little trip here, baby. We made it. Right now, I publicly want to thank my wife and my family, who I love very much. And I know some of you realize and some of you don't. Wow, the last couple of weeks, Coach Ellison, it's been hectic for him. Unbelievable. You know, I mean, it's every night, all day at school, every night till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, people want to talk to him at home. We're trying to get films, we're trying to get around, and it's all the time. So now I come home, the kid's crying, I'm in a horrible mood, my wife wants to see me, but I'm trying to say, I just want to say, leave me alone. And sometimes I do say it, when I am in trouble. But she has been very supportive, and I love her a lot. I'm glad I want to show my appreciation right now. I'll tell you what, you find out how important you are as an assistant coach. I thought it was bad following the managers at the last club session. Following the Plymouth Pilgrim Sing team, I'm not in trouble. Only thing I gotta say, I was here in '77. This is my first and only place I've been to teach. And I feel very, very fortunate. And people coming in, and you realize a little bit that it's a great situation. And I'm very, very happy to be here. Whatever small part I had to play, I'm thankful I could be there. I don't want to put any pressure on Coach Nixon. And we've been there in football, and we've been there in basketball, and by God, let's get there in baseball. Now I want to introduce one of my real good friends, and of course I'm really been happy to work with and spend some time with, Coach Eisenbauer. I told him to say that. I don't see how sister could say my laugh is bad after hearing this sing. I too would like to thank my wife. We've got a young one, about 13 months, and he's almost impossible to take to the game. So he missed all the celebration things at the different sites along the way, up and programming. It's not unlike any mother or any parents out here that have to sacrifice for their kids. But I'd have to say, that's my kid, but I love her, and you know, I don't know if she's here or not. It's time. Cindy over here. Come on up here.
No. Go on.
About 800 pounds by these clothes over here. Try to sit down, sort things out, and write things down. I'm not going to read all of this. Lucky for you. But I just wanted to read some quotes, some things that I guess I'm just lucky out of my presence of mind, I guess, as we went down and write a few things down. And then hopefully, if things worked out like they did, I could pass them around to you, maybe add a little bit of, I don't know what for all this. I too talked to Mr. Eskew, as Mr. Nixon did, and he reiterated the same thing. August 4th again for a year. I don't know how long he was commissioner, but I just said, have you seen the last thing? He said, I've never seen a more well-disciplined, better coached team in Plymouth. And like Mr. Nixon said, that takes in a lot of people. That's a lot of state tournaments and been around a lot of time. Gene Cato came in our locker room after the game, and Coach and Mike were out talking with some reporters, and they didn't have the opportunity to hear his words. He's been on the board of directors probably for the ISSA almost 40 years. He came in, the boys were sitting there, and this is a quote from Mr. Cato. In my entire experience, with the Indiana basketball tournament, I've never seen a finer example of team play and I witnessed this day. Well, I don't know. I was trying to stay on a pretty even keel, but my wife will tell you, I'm pretty emotional sometimes. On the lighter side, talking to a friend of mine from Long County after school in Minneapolis. And he was commenting in the afternoon game how much he felt like our fans, and especially, this is not a slight for our kids, but the kids have enough energy in the lower zone. He said especially our golf fans. He said he felt like they really carried us through the game against the Cathedral. I think that was a great comment for our fans. Quote passed on to, I was standing there watching the boys cut the nets down, and there was an Indianapolis police officer standing next to me. He began to talk, and we struck up a conversation. He had been escorting teams in and out of the arena for several years, and as Coach Edison said, this reflects the whole community, the whole area, our area coaches, perhaps all of Northern Indiana, our faculty, our administrators, our team, everything about it. He said, Plymouth is a first-class organization. I think I'll finish with one more thing, and then I'll get out of here. Probably the greatest feeling for anybody, perhaps a standing ovation with a loud clapping and noise, and I know that's something you people can provide. But I'm going to ask you to do something a little different here tonight, if I look wood. Some of you know, I think, but he's joined us in his very devout person. Excuse me. And I'd like all of you to stand and share with me in one silent prayer for your loved ones, for these people over here. For anybody that's dear to you, as I know these boys well, let's bow our heads. Amen. Thank you very much. Me to stop and pass on his congratulations from himself and from the city administration to our basketball team and to make it official for the city of Plymouth. I'm sure that as far as all of us are concerned, this is the one single greatest thing that's ever happened to the city of Plymouth. If you will recall, back in 1977, after our football championship, we had some signs on each one of the entrances into Plymouth. Well, believe me, the painters are already at work getting these signs ready. I cannot add anything that hasn't already been said by people here tonight.
on the radio, TV, or in the newspapers as far as the exhibition of basketball that was put on while our boys were over the weekend. I only hope that that great exhibition of team play and courage and fighting spirit continues with them the rest of their lives. We were caught up a little bit short in numbers, but we're going to rectify that situation. But we have a key to the city, to each one of the players and to the coaches, and we will have them all engraved personally to each one of the boys and coaches, and we will present them to them as soon as we get them back from the borders.
My dad always told me to stand up to be seen, speak up to be heard, and shut up to be appreciated, so I'm going to keep it short, okay? How many of you would like to see that basketball game again on television? Everybody was wondering how in the world was Plymouth going to be able to stop Cathedral with 6'10" twin guards? Well, I think we had the question wrong in the news media. The question should have been, how in the world was Cathedral going to stop Plymouth? They just...
It's really amazing how much better they get at broadcasting, the better the team gets. And I especially want to thank Rick for starting a tremendous new idea in advertising. I want you all to know that if LaSalle had won last Saturday night, you would have seen Sears all over the back of my trousers. I've seen or broadcast about 700-800 basketball games in 26 years. There's nothing I can say that hasn't been said, but I would like to make a point of just one thing. Most basketball players, most athletes have talent to some degree. I have never seen in those 26 years, and this is not said because I'm here, I have never seen a group of players get off the floor, figuratively and literally, in Elkhart, in Fort Wayne, and in Indianapolis. I take my hat off to you, each and every one of you.
Don't quit, really. My voice was in pretty good shape until one of the officials, I thought, and I agreed with Coach Edison, I thought it was a 5-second count. They gave him the timeout. I think you remember the critical time. And I think that's when I lost my voice because I think I exchanged a few pleasantries with the guys in the striped shirt. But I want the players and the coaches, the cheerleaders, the students, the parents, the fans, the Plymouth school community. I'm extremely proud of the way the Plymouth High School, Plymouth community conducted themselves. It was above reproach. And I'm just proud and happy to be a part of it. And we are number one. I would like to put possibly one statement that was made, someone estimated about 78,000. I would like to say, since this capacity of the gymnasium is 5,500, but on the record we have less than 5,500 here.
Also, I would like to say to the team, you gave us a great year. I believe in you. I've always believed in you. I believe in your coach. I always have, and I always will. I heard someone say this morning, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but said, it's awful to be 4 years of age and cry. I'm certain that there were a number of you last evening who did not cry in defeat, who cried in victory. That's a great feeling. There's just a few things that I would like very much to run through quickly. First of all, thanks to everybody in the area. What a great thrill it was to come up through Kokomo and to see congratulations children's signs in Kokomo, and in further north you came from all you saw. Thanks to the people down on 31 at Peru. Thanks to Rochester's tremendous backing. Thanks to the people in Argus. Thanks to the people of Marshall County and northern Indiana that we saw down in Indianapolis backing this super basketball team this weekend. Thanks to all of you from all of us in the city of Plymouth. Thanks to the people of South Bend, Tom Denton, Lynn Thornton. We know we'll have highlights of our pep rally down here, and we're really looking forward to that. We thank them for all their support and also in 93. Another little side note. Plymouth ended with the best record in Indiana. 28-0. Here for years and years to come that will say Plymouth 1982 IHSAA State Champion.